Okay, great. So thank you for listening to 22 Sides. This is Robin Mack and Alexis Melvin, and today we have a dear friend, Wilma, here with us. Wilma, would you like to introduce yourself, say a little something since it's not a camera podcast?
Okay, sure. My name is Wilma Schindler, and I don't know what to say. I'm kind of a new artist, kind of a new writer, poet,
And more importantly,
Robin's friend.
no, I was going to say Arrow's keeper.
Arrow's mom.
Yes, we love our fur pals. And Arrow is handsome, and he's such a little love bug. And I've been watching some of your passions. You're multi-passionate. A little bit of painting here, a little bit of, what were you making? Disco balls recently?
I made disco balls and a disco skull.
That's so cool. I mean, when something breaks and you can repurpose it, or wait. Did you break glass to make it happen? Okay.
I get mirrors and I smash it with a hammer.
Great. Okay, so are you having like passion fitness, smashing it, and then passion crafting, or like what's going on?
I don't know. I'm not really thinking that much.
Not that into it.
I'm just doing it.
Good.
And
so
I love it
you're
because
in the zone.
I am in the zone, and especially with that particular project, because you're looking for pieces that fit together, so there's not space between the pieces.
Right. Yeah.
And so, and you want it like, okay, with the ball, you want it to be round without pointy things sticking out.
Yeah.
And then I have a skull, like not a longhorn, but a skull with horns. And, there's contours on that. So,
right. It grooves.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it really, the time goes by so fast.
So this one you did on a real skull. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, because Wilma has another passion where she has some staycay spaces out in West Texas.
Out in West Texas, yeah. I lived in Marathon for 8 years and was fortunate enough to get some properties. And then my partner, Al, and I have some properties together. And so we have some Airbnbs out near Big Bend National Park.
So you probably get some natural skulls out there.
That's where that one came from. But I've been asking around and nobody has any. So I might have to just have to order my new skulls off of Etsy.
Okay, Etsy strikes again. We'll have to support another artist.
Yeah, I've always thought, given the number that I see for sale on like Etsy and some on eBay, that there are a group of people that just scour the desert for skulls.
Oh, yeah,
maybe,
sure.
Maybe. Yeah, little hunters as they walk and travel. So today, would you like to share your writing with us, or you don't have to?
No, I would like to.
Okay.
And this is something that I wrote in February, and I'm gonna try to do it from memory as much as possible. But I'm gonna have my little script here just in case.
Sure. Let's do it twice.
Okay.
So how about you read it once, very confident, and then you do it from memory the second time?
Okay, sure.
But first, is there any context you want us to know, or we're just going in with
We're just going to go in with it.
Let's go, girl.
Yeah. It's entitled Tiny White Snake.
Wonderful.
Yesterday, I got a new tattoo. I didn't tell anyone, not even Al. It's small and white. The smallest one yet, hardly noticeable. However, it might be the most significant tattoo I have. It's on my right middle finger, the finger that had cancer in the nail bed. It's in the space between the knuckles. It's a very small snake. On my way to see Nadia, my tattoo artist, I was thinking about my mom, and it's how it's coming up on the anniversary of her death. A few tears rolled down my face. I was also thinking about my grandmother and my Aunt Jeanette. I was thinking about the snake I want on my middle finger, a finger that typically represents anger when it's used to flip someone off. I was also thinking how my anger is starting to soften. I thought about my grandmother at Hill Asylum and the generational trauma that's been passed down to her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and maybe even great-great-grandchildren. The anger, distrust, sabotage, competition, and dishonesty. The lack of softness, the stiff upward lipness, and on and on. I then thought about this small snake I want on my finger and thought about the symbology and what it means to me. It's a reminder for me to allow my grief to allow my anger to soften to grief, and that I can sit with my grief and feel it, and I will be okay, not consumed. It's a reminder that it's okay to shed skin and continue to grow even into my old age. And even this thought crossed my mind that maybe in the divine order of the universe, my grandmother, Alfonsina Panzini, went to Snake Hill Asylum for the very reason to let future generations know that the snake represents growth, renewal, and wisdom, and that it is really okay to feel the grief of our family history and to feel the grief of our own personal histories. And in the richness of that grief, we will find the courage to shed the skin that weighs us down and emerge with fresh, new, glistening skin. Maybe at some level, my grandmother was setting the stage, at least for me, to grow, soften, and learn compassion and connection. It's a lifelong journey, one I'm grateful to be on. And when I look at that snake on my fuck you finger, I'm reminded of my mom, Josephine, my Aunt Jeanette, and my grandmother, Alfonsina. I know without a doubt they are proud of me and are grateful for the healing work I'm doing. I can feel all three of them loving me. My anger is slowly turning to love. As I look at the snake now, I'm reminded to soften my anger to grief and to allow my grief to be expressed and seen. It might just be one tiny tear rolling down my cheek. Even that small expression is honoring my grief, honoring my mom, honoring my aunt, and honoring my grandmother. I'm reminded to slow down and feel and know that that is enough. Shed old skin and keep growing. And as I was sitting in my car waiting for Nadia to arrive, listening to XM radio, a familiar song came on and I saw the words White Snake. They were playing that song. I'm not sure of the title, but the lyrics are, "Here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known." Those lyrics used to speak volumes to me when I was a younger woman after yet another of many breakups. And even though the band White Snake was singing those lyrics, it occurred to me that they no longer apply. I can shed the skin of that belief. I no longer identify with having to do this life alone. Another thing the snake is teaching me. And that's when I knew that my new tattoo had to be white, a tiny white snake.
Wow. Let's just let that ripple and marinate for a minute. Thank you for sharing that with
You're
us.
welcome.
And then do you want to say it again from the heart?
Well, I can try.
Well,
Wait,
I
you
think
don't get the notes.
Well, I just want to hold them in case I need to glance down.
yeah, sometimes I think it's just even with the intention, if you don't get it word for word, it still resonates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take your time. That's a lot. It's beautiful.
And I guess we could say take two. I have a clapboard somewhere around.
Yesterday, I got a new tattoo. I didn't tell anybody, not even my partner, Al. It's small and it's very small. The smallest one yet. Hardly noticeable, but it might be the most significant tattoo I have. It's located on my right middle finger, the finger that had cancer in the nail bed. The tattoo is between the two top knuckles. It's a small snake. On my way to see Nadia, my tattoo artist, I was thinking about my mom and how it's coming up on the anniversary of her death. And a few tears rolled down my face. And then I started thinking about my grandmother and my Aunt Jeanette. And I was thinking about how I want the snake on my middle finger, the finger that typically represents anger when it's used to flip the bird off. And I was thinking how my anger is starting to soften. I thought about my grandmother at Snake Hill Asylum and the generational trauma that's been passed down to her children, her grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and maybe even great-great-grandchildren. The anger, the dishonesty, the competition, the sabotage, and the distrust. The lack of softness, the stiff upper lipness, and on and on. I thought about this little snake and what the snake symbology means to me. And it occurred to me that, I'm confused. Hold on. I then thought about this little snake I wore on my finger and thought about the symbology and what it means. It's a reminder to allow my grief to soften. Or it's a reminder to allow my anger to soften to grief. And that I can sit with my grief and feel it. And I'll be okay, not consumed. It's a reminder to shed skin that I've outgrown and continue to grow even into my old age. And even this thought crossed my mind, that maybe my grandmother, Alfonsina Panzini, was sent to the Snake Hill Asylum to let future generations know that the snake represents wisdom, renewal, and growth, and that it really is okay to feel the grief of our family history, and to feel the grief of our own individual histories. And in the richness of feeling that grief, maybe we'll find the courage to shed the skin that weighs us down and emerge with fresh, clean, glistening skin. Maybe at some level, at least for me, my grandmother was setting the stage for me to grow and soften and learn compassion and connection. It's a lifelong journey, and one that I'm glad that I'm on. And when I look at the snake on my fuck you finger, I'm reminded of my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother. I know without a doubt they're all proud of me and grateful for the healing work that I'm doing. I can feel all three of them loving me. My anger is softening to love. And as I look at the snake now, I'm reminded to soften my anger to grief and allow that grief to be felt and seen and expressed. And it might just be one tiny little tear rolling down my cheek. And that small expression is still honoring my grief, honoring my mother, my aunt, and my grandmother. I'm reminded to slow down and feel and know that that is okay. To shed old skin and to keep growing. And as I was sitting in my car waiting for Nadia to arrive, I was listening to XM radio. And the words white snake were on the monitor. And they were singing a song. I can't remember the lyrics. I can't remember the title, but the lyrics are, "Here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known." That song used to speak volumes to me when I was a younger woman after yet another of many breakups. And even though the band White Snake was singing those words, it occurred to me that they no longer apply. I no longer identify with having to do this life alone. Another thing the snake reminds me of. And then it occurred to me in that moment that my new tattoo had to be white, a tiny white snake.
How do you feel after that?
I don't know. I don't know how embodied I really am when I read this. Because I've read it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I used to not be able to get through it because I'd be crying all the time. But
right.
But it feels good to put my story out there.
Yeah.
Because none of us have any idea of what any of the others of us carry with us in our daily life.
That's true.
And in our bodies and in our head, And so I think for me, sharing this story about myself and my ancestors, my mom, I don't know how to say this. It helps me to connect with people more.
Really?
On a human level.
Wow. How for you? I could see how as a listener, people might be more related to you if they have a shared experience, but how for you?
Well, because I come from a family where very stiff upper lip.
Mm-hmm.
And success is very, very important. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I mean, we all have to have a bit of drive. But I've realized in my life that that drive isn't healthy for me. Mm-hmm. What works for me is to go inside. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little too much, but whatever.
Who gets to say?
Yeah,
Wilma gets to say.
But so sometimes I think that I present myself out to the world as being a bit untouchable in some aspects.
Okay.
Because that's what I learned, you know, like to keep my shit. And
Chilled
so
up,
so this, I think, with me sharing this story, it helps me take that down.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where
it humanizes you for other people.
Yeah, I can relate to other people, and then I can be more approachable. Like I can approach other people, and people can approach me. Mm-hmm.
And it
in
has
a different
certain
way
tone
than how we present ourselves out to the world.
Absolutely. It definitely has like a caring, layers of caring throughout the whole poem versus I'm putting white snake on my finger, so fuck off in general, right? You know,
well,
like,
that's, and that's all very interesting. Why you got cancer in the nail bed of that finger. And then, And then I have been so angry at my family for so many years and years and years. And I also don't think it's all my anger. I think it's generational anger that's gotten passed down. And
I know that at points where you have your, what do we call them, staycays or your rentals, you've had yoga and writer retreats.
Well, we've had yoga retreats.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not writing retreats.
Well, you know what? There was a few poets that rented one of my houses during COVID, and they did a Zoom poetry writing workshop over a long weekend or a week. So I guess we have, I didn't provide any of the meals or anything, but they did stay there.
Were you included in that, or when did you start writing?
That was before I started writing.
Okay. When did you start writing?
Just this year, really.
Okay, so this is very new.
This is very new.
Thank you for sharing this with us, because people don't always share it, right? They put it on the page, they get it out of themselves, they have their processing, and then they don't necessarily share it. And is this your first external sharing of your writing? No. Okay.
So there's this place not far from here called Imprint.
Okay.
I don't know if you know where. No, it's over there near the Manil. And on Fridays, they have the first Friday readings, and that's for poets.
Okay.
So this is more prose or short story. But so I do have, I paint as well.
Sure.
And so I've painted a portrait of my mom and a portrait of my grandmother. I started with my grandmother, and I wrote a poem for her, and I wrote a poem for my mom. And it has to do with the snake and generational trauma. And I read those the first Friday of this month.
Okay, so this external part is just happening.
Like show and tell.
We're like on the cusp of it. Yeah, okay.
And I read my poems. Yeah. And so that's just nice because it's just exposure, like getting used to being in front of people and sharing in a way that I am hopefully more embodied, because I can get up in front of people and do stuff.
I can't imagine you're a stranger of that.
But I'm not necessarily embodied.
Right.
Yeah. And that's important to me now.
You're in a certain role doing a certain thing.
I can straighten up. And
then this is very personal.
Yeah.
How have your paintings and your poems been received around the Imprint presentations?
Yeah, well, nice. People clap.
Yeah.
Somebody's, a couple people came up to me afterwards and said that they liked the paintings and the poems. So
that's great. We had Kathy Crawford on one of our episodes, and she was sharing about different poetry open mics and how they're actually, in her experience, very friendly and inclusive and very understanding that this could be the first time that someone's reading, or they might not make it all the way through, or everyone's just very helpful.
Poets there,
or there's published poets there,
so there's everything.
That's great. So it's good to hear of another experience in Houston, actually, because
and I'd like to find more poetry open mic nights because
Well, we'll see, because she left a long list, so we'll make sure you have her stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Have you ever met her along the way?
I don't think I have.
That doesn't work for me, so we'll make that happen.
For those of you who don't know this, people not meeting each other is not okay with Robin.
Well, I'm like
yeah.
such a bridge builder, but you and Kathy have a lot in common, and I think that'd be great for you to share some futures, because some of the writers groups that she's a part of go out and intentionally support each other's offerings, whatever it is. Like sometimes it is writing, but sometimes, like there's a lady this tomorrow having a felt class at the Young Center. So once you're a passionate artist, you tend to do quite a few different things. So it'd be neat for you to get to know them.
Yeah, and I'm kind of at a place now, like I needed to hole up and do this for a while,
Right.
on my own, for whatever reason.
Sure.
But
Very
now,
internal process.
Yeah, but now I'm feeling like, I guess because for a long time I didn't feel safe sharing that part.
Of course.
Being that vulnerable out in the world.
Sure.
Like from a place of authenticity.
Yeah.
And, but now I'm kind of ready to start making those connections.
Well, and I'm talking like on an art level, but I imagine your process of embodiment from generations took a lot of listening. I mean, that's hard when you're in a group of people to process their thoughts of your work. I'm glad that you started with yourself and listening, through generations first.
Right. Because I'm 63 years old, so I had to get to a place where I know without a doubt that this is my truth.
Yeah, your core, you're pointing to your core.
This is my truth, and other family members might not have the same experience as me.
Very important to note.
And that's okay.
That's absolutely okay.
That is totally okay. But I have to get to a place where I know without a doubt what my truth is. And, and I'm a believer that our life is our teacher. And so when I start getting out there more with my work, whether it's paintings or poetry or prose or combination of it, and if, things come my way that are maybe not so positive, I had to get to a place with myself knowing that this is me and I'm steadfast in this.
Yes.
And it's not that I wouldn't be willing to hear what a person says, but to know that that's their truth.
Absolutely.
And they have every right to have their truth.
Yes.
And their truth doesn't necessarily have to affect my truth.
Yes.
And vice versa.
Yes. And when we share that visibility with other people, whatever level it is, whether it's writing or your personal story or even your craft, like you may not be ready for what feedback you get. It could be like across the board. And some artists, some creators, some people in general are just not about that life. They're not going to share it, or they can't be at the talk back of what people have to offer. And I think that's absolutely okay in itself, because that's a whole nother process part. That's a whole nother phase part, and you don't have to go there if you don't want to. But I'm glad that you highlighted that even in families, we all have different versions and narratives, and that's all different.
And it all depends on your birth order, your gender in that family,
even if you're around,
and the age of your parents when you were born.
Definitely.
Like, my family, there's a 15-year spread between the oldest and the youngest. Wow. And I have one younger sibling, and so my parents were as old as a lot of my friends' grandparents when I was growing up.
So, I hate to say this, but there's some of us that have even a wider spread than that.
I'm sure. Yes.
My sister's 18 years older than me, or was.
That's a lot.
Do you have any thoughts or comments on what she's talking about?
Oh, a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can I ask you a question about your piece?
Yes.
And this is an observational question, so don't take it personally. Well, take it personally. I don't care. There were a couple places in there where you weren't comfortable with the words you were using.
Maybe, yeah.
And I was just wondering, are there a couple places that you're still having trouble getting it exactly the way you want it?
I think it's just because I'm nervous.
Okay.
Because when I was doing this at home yesterday, and I had it completely memorized yesterday by myself, not in front of people with all this equipment.
Yeah, it's a microphone. Dun, 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 dun.
So I think that there was a couple places I got confused and where I didn't use the right word. Like I didn't use the word that I had written down. But that's a good observation. And there might be a few places in there, because it's a pretty heavy piece that there's still a lot of emotion that I'm sure I have not processed all of it.
Yeah, I'm nodding too, because I think there was one place where you said, have to get back to love. And then I think maybe on your writing it said to grief. And it's
yeah.
But I think that's beautiful because a lot of times when we're doing art, what we think is going to happen and then what we present might be two different things.
Yeah.
It's sort of funny because before you got here, we were talking about something that did they call it their symposium?
Yeah, there was a Houston symposium that happened in June for the LGBT community, trying to highlight a place in history in Houston specifically where a lot of people came together to look at what were they going to do with the AIDS crisis. And it's coming up on an anniversary date for that. So some artists got artists together at the Art League to talk about, well, what can we do now to remember that time?
And what we were talking about was the fact that there were a lot of people there who aren't young, shall we say, and they were sharing their stories, and the differences in the stories. Most of them I've known for years and years and years, and the stories evolve over time, and some of them soften, some of them harden, and it's a type thing where I think. I'm not sure. I guess probably San Antonio in the talk I was doing up there, I was pointing out that, truth's sort of a flexible thing.
Well, it is. And it kind of changes as we age.
Exactly.
We don't always remember stuff.
Yeah, or you remember
we don't remember what we used to remember.
And
right.
What you thought was one way, as you become a little bit wiser, you're like, maybe it wasn't exactly that way.
Yeah, it wasn't all about me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm kind of
Or maybe you
learning.
get some more facts. The more you tell the story, someone contributes history pieces or facts. It's like, okay, well, that kind of changes perspective a little bit, but the original perspective was still something to be honored.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a sister that spent a few nights with me the end of last month. Mm-hmm. She was driving from one part of the country to the next. And I haven't always had good relationships with my sisters. But this was really nice because we were probably the most tender we've ever been with each other.
Beautiful.
And that was really sweet.
Yeah.
And, but she shared some stories,
Yeah.
But this time, her stories were validating to my memory.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
that was like,
yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, a relief, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking of a time, Alexis, because, Wilma's speaking of grandmother energy and how it sort of paces your life trajectory and to some degree and influences that. And you had a grandmother that was a quilter. And she created something before you were born, and then you found out later on that it really was on point for your life trajectory.
My grandmother Melvin, was interesting because number one, she baked really good cherry pies.
Hey.
Really good cherry pies. And the other thing was that when members of her close family, someone would be, usually just before they were pregnant, she would start working on a quilt for them. For the baby.
Before they knew they were pregnant, she had a
Always.
premonition.
Yeah, and she would start working on the quilt and have it done about the time that they were being born.
Little witchy.
I love that.
Yeah.
And, like my brother got a quilt that was, little boys sort of thing.
So she knows if the baby's going to be a boy or girl.
Yeah, my sister got a quilt that was little girls. My in-laws, however they were, cousins got quilts that were boys or girls, etc. And I didn't get a quilt. And so eventually I asked my dad, I'm like, why didn't I get a quilt? And he said, well, you did, but your mom won't show it to you.
That does not sit well with Alexis.
No, this is not going to work. And so finally...
How old were you when you asked that question?
8 or 9.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was like,
And you're 76 now.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So this was a long time ago. And so finally they had an argument, and my dad gives me the quilt. It's boys and girls.
Very good.
And you know, and my mother's like, oh, we can't do that. No, it can't happen, etc. And I'm like, well, guess what?
Your grandmother knew.
Yeah. And it was funny because my mother didn't like me to go see her very often, because she's like, well, I don't want you learning all those witchy things.
So you kind of had a healer in your family.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
Or an instigator. No, just kidding.
According to her, we were druids. But, and, you know, that was the only reason I liked to go see her, is because of this thing.
Well, because you probably connected with her.
Oh, yeah. And then the other part was that when I come back home, I've learned very quickly that the only thing I talked about was cherry pie. Yep, made cherry pie again.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The question would be, how do we make cherry pie in the winter when the cherry tree wasn't producing cherries? Didn't matter to my mom. She bought the story every time.
Yeah. We used frozen cherries from the year before.
Yeah, the stories we're comfortable with and the stories that make us uncomfortable, the ones we share, the ones we don't. Like, when some of these things were boiling up in you said first with anger and whatnot, would you say that the art and crafting, some of the writing, some of your paintings, maybe even the disco balls, have helped process these things?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have poems for all of them.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
sometimes the poems come first. But the interesting thing about painting my grandmother, I started painting my grandmother, and I never knew my grandmother. My mother never knew her mother. My grandmother was put in the asylum when my mom was 6 months old, and my mother and her
Okay.
siblings were split up and put into orphanages.
So maybe not even pictures.
I have a picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that my mom's older siblings have. So
Okay.
it was a picture of my grandmother when she was a young woman before
Okay.
she got married. And so it was kind of interesting. I was painting her, and they're both portraits, so it's very much their face, you know, and you're like that far from their face, kind of creating this. And anyway, yeah, so it is really nice to spend that much concentrated time. And it was more like my grandmother, I didn't know her. I just know the stories. My mom I knew, and my grandmother didn't live to be an old woman. My mom did, and I painted a picture of my mom when she was an older woman, and spending that much time just like with her face. And one night I remember, I'm gonna start crying, I had a dream about my mom where I was just like tenderly touching her face, which I don't think ever happened in real life, you know. So
Sometimes we can do that healing afterwards, and the
Yeah.
person doesn't have to be there. And it's just good to point that out in case someone has unfinished business. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to be an artist.
no,
And
yeah,
the person
I'm-
doesn't have to be there.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So I mean, I've heard that, you know, when you do your work, not only are you helping to heal future generations, but you're also helping to heal your ancestors.
Wow.
So
Have you gotten any sort of feeling, maybe intuition on the fact that you have healed them? Was that in the line of they would be proud
Well,
of you and your
yeah,
they
you know,
that?
I have a couple. Can I read the poems I wrote about my grandmother and then the
Yes.
one I wrote?
Should I get some tissues?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll go get some tissues.
These are the ones I read in Imprint, the first Friday readings.
I'm very much a Hinky fan.
Okay, this first one is called Alfonsina and Her Snake, and so I was I'd written
Such a
it-
strong name.
I was trying to figure out a way to take this tragic event and put a positive twist on it in a way. So anyway, Alfonsina and Her Snake. Years ago, she stood her ground. Now she wears that snake as a crown. She took that fall, and it was fast. Would anyone ever hear her call? I hear her now loud and clear. She tells me things. She has my ear. She was strong. She wasn't wrong. They took her away. She had so much to say. Her words were silenced way back then when all the power went to men. Her voice, it scared them, her truth a threat. They locked her away. I hold her regret. I love you, she says, more than you think. I see you shining, and then she winks. Don't cry for me. I did what I could. Now that you know, I want you to grow. Love your life. It's full and bright. You don't have to feel my strife. Then she says, as she stands tall, they sent me to Snake Hill, but I did not fall. Even there I spoke my mind to myself as I did my time. But please don't let it get you down. Now I wear my snake as a crown.
Wow. That's so empowering. I have goosebumps. That's awesome.
And then my mom, it's called Eye to Eye.
All right.
So both my grandmother and my mom, and I haven't painted my aunt yet, but she's
on the
along
list
soon. Yeah, they both have snakes in their paintings, and this one of my mom and the snake are looking at each other eye to eye.
Whoa!
So this is called Eye to Eye. Josephine looks that snake in the eye. No longer does she cry. She used to be so afraid, sad, scared, and mad. She felt overwhelmed and over her head. How did this all happen? Sometimes she wishes she was dead. Her life was not hers. All of those chores, constantly she wished she could say no more. No to the yelling, no to the cooking, no to the cleaning, no to the put-downs, no to the demands. Her voice stayed silent. It came harshly out of her hands. It was never her job to take care of him, be his bitch, go out on a limb. He didn't appreciate what she did. He didn't see she was afraid raising the kids he didn't want made. For most of my life, she seemed far away. She stared a lot at that undetermined spot. She struggled so much she wasn't seen. She went through the motions. This was not her dream. Did she ask for help? She didn't know how. So she just yelled and beat and hit and screamed at all the little people and through all of the things. It wasn't our fault. We had to hide. Always it seemed like she was so mean. But now she looks that snake in the eye, holding hands with her mom up in the sky. They wish it could have been different for them and for us. They are filled with warmth as we slowly learn to trust. So the snake that Alfonsina wore as a crown and that Josephine now looks at straight in the eye has become a mentor, a teacher, and an ally. Here to teach us to love, fight for what's right, let go of old skin, and not hold on too tight. Patiently, they wait for each one of us as we head their way on that one-way bus. There will be an understanding, a knowing, if you will, that familiar pain we all feel so much. It was that snake with no skill. It was never supposed to hurt and scar us for life, but give us a way to look for the light. As turned around, twisted, and strange as it seems, that snake leads the way to the light, a pathway to the unseen. As we courageously take that turn beyond what we know, the snake leads us to a place of dignity and grace. So
can
yeah,
really
I think
hear
I've
the
had
difference.
some intuitive things happening.
Yeah.
With my mom and grandmother and yeah.
And you can hear the difference in your reading and your confidence and your and what's polished and what's still becoming. And is your aunt still with us?
No, they're
okay.
My aunt was actually the last one. She died in 2006 or 7. Yeah.
So I like how you're linking the women together in your work as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting. My current painting I'm working on now. It's kind of big, and it's a combination of like what I've done with the disco balls and the broken mirrors. I have a big white 3-headed white snake with, and the body is made of those broken mirrors. And so yeah, so I was talking about it with Al the other day, and it's like, yeah, I think this is all 3 of them.
Wow,
And I think the name of that's going to be Beautiful Trilogy and Shattered Reflection or something like that. I don't know. But
still
anyway, it's about then.
Yeah.
It was the white snake and the snake. And, yeah. And snakes, even before I had all this come to me. You know, snakes have, ever since I started painting, snakes were always important.
What about the snake? Besides, is it because of what it symbolizes, or
Well, because my grandmother was in Hill Asylum.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's part of it. But also, I like snakes.
you do in person?
Not necessarily in person.
Okay, just
I
in,
think I like
in
the
theory.
idea. I like the idea of snakes. I mean, I've seen many living out in West Texas.
I bet.
But I like you know, those coach whip snakes, those red racers. Those are fun because they're friendly snakes and they eat the rattlesnakes.
Wow. They're your friends.
Yeah, but you know, I like photographs of snakes. Like I have a friend that I knew when I lived out in Marathon, and he and his wife were nurses, but he, as a hobby, his whole life has raised and bred snakes.
Wow.
So he had rooms of you know.
Yeah.
And so he posts all these pictures of all these. And the whole reason I got an idea for doing a 3-headed snake is because he posted a picture of a bicephalic snake, a 2-headed snake.
Wow.
And it was white.
Wow.
And so I love looking at those
Wow.
pictures, and I love seeing the markings.
Wow. Maybe that, you know, inspired some things, obviously. And, you know,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
people talk about how animals can have meaning or guides or inspire. And it sounds like there's a lot of that in
Yeah, I
your
think
work.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
There's always snakes.
Yeah. I mean, it just wouldn't be the
And
same
they're fun
thing
to
if,
paint, you know, because they're easy.
yeah. Yeah. It wouldn't have been the same if it was like peacocks or bears. So,
No. It's a squiggly line.
oh my gosh, this is amazing. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing this
we
with
have a
us.
friend, Ricky,
Yes.
that is a snake person.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She will go.
Does she raise snakes or does she go snake hunting?
Yes.
Yeah, and she'll relocate them for people
Oh,
in
yeah.
case they get found, and that way they don't get
Yeah.
harmed. She'll go in and,
Yeah.
and relocate them. She's worked at exotic animal spaces, and now she's working, I think, with more nature trails and doing things with the. I'm drawing a blank.
The Arboretum?
Yes. The
Yeah,
Arboretum.
and she's teaching classes and showing some of her snakes and that sort of stuff.
Right.
What kind of
Spiders.
classes does she teach?
Well, educational. She wants people to not be afraid of them. She wants people to know the difference between the ones that they should look out for or not.
Does she teach them at the Arboretum?
I think so, and she'll just do it. Like if you want to bring her out to your neighborhood or to your scout situation or whatever, she'll do anybody.
Like a birthday party?
Yeah, exactly. I'll make sure you know each other. Yeah, absolutely.
I was about
Well,
to
should I
say.
bring a friendly snake that I can hold? Because I've never held a snake.
Absolutely. She is for people.
A white
having-
one? No, just kidding.
Possibly, I can't keep promising, but
I'm just kidding.
she'll try. But for her thing is if somebody is scared about it, she'll gently help them
Calm them.
rehab about that, and like immersion therapy, nicely sort of situation. Will hold your hand about it. And
Nice.
yeah, I'm so thankful that I know someone that does that work, because not all of us can be around snakes, and so I'm one of them. I have a very kind understanding that they do what they do and I do what I do, and it's hard for me to even see pictures or hear about this. So like the reason why I can hear about it from you is because I just love you so much. But sometimes I have to snooze your account, because every now and then it'll be like, boom, Wilma's painting, and it's like, snake. Even a painting of it,
It's triggering,
will bring
yeah.
it up, you know. But I snooze Ricky's account all the time, because if she's not posting pictures about owls, I probably shouldn't look over there. Yeah, she'll
And
do
I'm
like
not
all
posting
sorts
as
of
much
stuff.
as I used to. Like I used to
No.
post paintings in progress, and I'm this one.
I was into your flower ones, but your snake ones, I'm like, oh god, I can't do it.
This one is flowers and snakes.
Yeah, and that has nothing to do with your work or your reflections, but it
no,
has
no,
to do
no, I
with
get
how
it. Yeah.
symbolism impacts me. But I appreciate the snake guide symbolism, because it does offer something positive. But other than that, I can't see them or think about them for too long. So otherwise, I'll have nightmares. That's just my thing.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that you're sharing this. And so if people wanted to connect with your spaces out in West Texas, where can they find your rentals?
Well, they can find them on my website,
Okay, which is what?
wilmaschindler.com.
Can you spell it?
WilmaSchindler.com.
Wonderful. We'll have
And then
our,
there's a vacation links page. And it's a very old website. And I don't think our Alpine house is listed on there. But we have 2 houses in Marathon, 1 house in Alpine, and 2 trailers and 40 acres on Terlingo Ranch.
and it really is beautiful. There's a
Oh, you've
lot
been
of
there. You've been
stars.
there.
Yes, I have it.
Well, it's a class 1 dark sky.
Yes, and I think if people know about the dark sky movement, we have so much light that impacts our visibility to see the stars at night in
We
major
can't see it
cities.
here at all.
Really
No.
can't. But when you go out there, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And there is
See the
a
Milky Way from my front door.
and there's a star space museum. I
A
don't know.
star party
Star party.
at the motel, Marathon Motel, which I share a property line with. And they do that every night as long as, it's not a full moon and as long as the weather cooperates.
Yes.
And they have telescopes, all kinds of telescopes. They have 2 buildings now that have retractable roofs that people from all over the country, it might be all over the world, but I know for sure all over the country, are sitting home on their computers, operating their camera equipment in those buildings,
Wow.
doing astrophotography,
Wow.
taking pictures of nebulae.
Different
That's the
planets and
only
stuff.
word I know. But
Sure.
Yeah, the first time I was in Marfa, it wasn't planned, but
yeah, it's the same thing there.
it sort of worked out. And it was like 3 a.m. or something, and we were flying to South Padre, and a storm came in, and so we had to detour around it. And
You landed in Marfa.
yeah,
You must have been in a tiny plane.
it was a very small plane, and we landed at one of the fields that isn't a field, but it's okay because Border Patrol met us and gave us a ride to the motel.
Yes. Yeah.
And but middle of the night came out, and I'm like, this is weird. Something's really strange because
No lights.
you can actually see shadows from the stars.
And the moon.
Yeah, the moon. Oh, that was like a super spotlight. But when it was just stars, I could look around. I could see shadows. You could read the newspaper under the
Amazing how
stars.
bright it is. Yeah.
And I was sort of like, this is what it was supposed to be like. It wasn't supposed to be like the cities with all the pollution and all the light and everything else. But it's really cool because it feels totally different.
Yeah, and everybody out there is real nice and welcoming, and whether it's Marathon or Marfa, and you can get out there and see different art. They have big sculptures out there, different designs that were never meant to be in museums, and they made, in and outdoor exposure spaces for them to be out there, and it's probably better to go when it's not really hot, but even if it is, there's ways to manage it.
And it cools off in the evenings because it's desert.
The desert,
And the other thing is that there's not humidity, so
Right,
you don't
it's dry.
have it's a dry heat. And I'll tell you this: during normal times, the hottest months are May and June, and it typically cools off in July and August because that's a monsoon season. So the afternoon rains come. It hasn't been very typical in the last several years, but like Houston this year, they've had a really mild summer.
That's good.
And a
That's
very
nice.
wet summer. So
Yeah.
it's been nice. We were out there in April, and we specifically went in April because we wanted to see the wildflowers and the cactus in bloom. Well, it was so dry. Nothing was in bloom. It was scary. And then we went out in July, the end of July, and it was like Ireland. It had some rain and things were blooming. And yeah, I like being out there. I like the way my house is situated because even though it's fairly close to town, the way it's angled, I don't feel that. I
Right.
feel like I'm pretty secluded.
And by town, you mean like one strip road, and
Yeah, a town of 450
there's like a
people.
small little grocery store.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a small town of 450 people.
yeah.
But I just like to go out there and
Yeah.
listen to the silence. watch nature. And when we're at Casa La Vista, where you and Jay stayed, that pond attracts so much wildlife.
And Arrow, your dog, likes to go out and play with like big animals, right?
Well, he likes to charge them. He thinks they want to play with him. So they end up charging him, and he thinks it's a game.
What kind of wildlife do you get out there?
Well, there's javelinas.
Mm-hmm.
There's deer.
Mm-hmm.
There are foxes, coyotes, snakes, tarantulas, scorpions, ducks. We have ducks that go between our pond and the pond at the motel. They go back and forth. They fly between those two, and hawks and vultures and all kinds of birds.
And if it's blooming season, there's a really nice flower garden and Marathon that you can go walk
across
around.
Highway 90 called the Gage Gardens.
Mm-hmm. That was really nice. And, we're talking a lot about heat and whatnot, but ACs are great in West Texas. Like you don't have to be affected by it if you don't want to.
Yeah.
And you're not far from Big Bend if people wanted to go even more hiking and doing things. And
it's about a 45-minute drive from Marathon to the entrance of Big Bend National Park. It's a beautiful drive because it's all ranch land.
It is beautiful.
It's all private ranch land. There's not one billboard in sight. And maybe you'll pass one or two other cars.
Yeah. Well, are you looking forward to anything as you close out the year besides maybe possibly sharing your pieces at the Moth?
Yeah, sharing my piece at the Moth, I'm taking an intuitive painting workshop with the woman that my intuitive painting coach that kind of got me started.
Nice.
I haven't done that in a while. I have a couple, besides the painting I'm working on now, there's two others that I really want to do that I've thought about. So,
okay.
And I've been also playing my flute. So,
okay.
Yeah.
How does the flute come into it? It just, centers you, or?
Well, I have the same flute that I had since I was in 4th grade. And I was very active in school, in band, marching band, orchestra, wind ensemble. I did, all of it. And I was really good. And I was also in this group called the Young Tulsans. I grew up in Tulsa.
Okay.
And, you had an audition to be in. It was made up of high school students from all over Tulsa. And we toured Europe one year. And, but I never played by ear. I didn't know how to play by ear. And so, my partner, Al, is a musician. He used to be back in the 70s in that band Spirit. And he never learned how to read. Right?
Okay. I was going to say he probably didn't read music at all.
He doesn't. He still doesn't. And so anyway, one day he told me to go get my flute. He wrote a new song because I told him, well, if you ever write a song in the key of C, maybe I could figure something out because my fingers would know what to do. There's no sharps and flats.
Nice.
And so sometimes we'll just sit around, and it came back. And so
are you two jamming?
We are. We'll sit around
nice.
And we'll just kind of play back and forth without, we have a few songs worked up. And then, but yeah, so I don't care. I don't really care if I ever perform with my flute in front of people, but I love sitting and jamming and making music.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like just
being
letting that flow.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with writing and the same thing with art. Like it's just, as long as I can stay out of my way, it'll happen.
And do you and Al ever go to jam sessions or host any? No? Maybe there's something there. I don't know. Does he still play in Houston?
Yeah, he plays at the Mucky Duck. The next one is October 13th, I think.
Okay. So if you're in Houston over off of Norfolk and want to check out the Mucky Duck, look for a really handsome gentleman named Al, and maybe you'll see a bodacious babe in the audience that may or may not have a flute. So we'll see.
Yeah, he's playing Saturday at the Saxon Pub in Austin. This Saturday.
Nice. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in and sharing with us.
This was fun.
You're welcome back anytime. We just like to have some chats and kind of point Houston to other venues.
I have a question for you. I always have the last question, I think.
What's your last question? Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm starting to sound like Maria. One of our friends always has another question.
And, go ahead.
Yeah, my real question is, so what did we not talk about that you wish we had?
Today. There's so much.
Oh, you can't just get by with that. You got to at least give me two or three things.
Robin and I know each other from the massage therapy world and the yoga world. So, we can talk about trauma in the body, how the body holds on to stuff, what happens when that's Let's go.
Yeah.
We can talk about the challenges of being a massage therapist
Absolutely.
or a yoga instructor, or how, for me, yoga has been a really like important part of my growth as a person. And when I fall down the rabbit hole, then I have to kind of reawake. I have to start from the beginning with yoga because my body gets so tight. So anyway, there's so much. There's so much we could talk about.
Well, do you want to come back or do you want to keep rolling?
Well, I'll come back.
You'll come back. So a little cliffhanger, a little to be continued. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's absolutely great. I am so just I have a lot of gratitude for sharing space with you on this journey, and it hasn't been like a lot of space, but it's been a bit over time, and we have a lot of mutual interests, and it's just beautiful to be in your space. And
Well, I feel the same thing for you, Robin.
Thank you. And I look forward to our next episodes where we can share space together. So
Me too. Thank you for having me.
yeah, thank you for being here, and thank you for listening. If you're in Houston or afar, we welcome you to come into the Mucky Duck and Imprint and the Moth, and just kind of enjoy the city because there's a lot to be had. It's a whole different space than West Texas, and if you're in West Texas, check out Wilma's rentals because they're just beautiful. They really do have a really neat skyscape and a really wholesome feel, and I felt not just safe but welcomed by the city, and you don't always get that everywhere. So check it out and make a trip.
Thank you, Robin.
Yeah, thank you.
Alexis.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
finally.
meet you. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a lot.
All right. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Are we on?